Here are 25 creepy urban legends that are actually true. 25. In one of the largest tug-of-war matches ever held, 800 people lined up on each side of a nylon rope in Taiwan. They all pulled as hard as they could, exerting 3 times more force than the rope was capable of, causing it to snap. The 2 men in front each had their arms ripped off between the shoulder and elbow due to the force. Thankfully, they were rushed to the hospital, where doctors spent 7 hours reattaching their limbs. 24. In an attempt to infiltrate her boyfriend's house, Dr. Jacqueline Koterick tried to climb down the chimney, but got stuck in its confines. 3 days later, a house sitter saw fluids dripping down the fireplace and smelled rotting flesh, soon discovering the decomposing cause. 23. After an argument, Chef David Viennes duct-taped his wife and found her dead the following morning. Trying to destroy the evidence, he cooked her in a massive pot, yes, her whole intact body, for 4 days. 22. Rochelle Harris had a wonderful time on her hiking trip in Peru, until she returned home. Initially ruled as an ear infection, doctors soon found a, quote, writhing mass of maggots feeding on the flesh of her ear. A New World screwworm fly had laid eggs in her ear canal, which soon caused seething pain down her face and a strange discharge from her ear. Doctors successfully removed the maggots, and Harris made a full recovery. 21. A Galveston, Texas girl showed up to the ER with severe pain in her throat. After x-raying her esophagus, doctors found a piece of metal wire lodged therein. Turns out, a few days earlier, her father was cleaning the barbecue grill with a metal wire brush. Since he didn't wipe the grill down with a cloth afterwards, shards of the metal remained and lodged themselves into the next meal the family cooked. 20. On multiple instances, including 2003 in Kansas City, 1994 in Miami, and 1996 in Pasadena, hotel guests complained to staff about a foul, noxious odor coming from the room. After they checked, the hotel staff found a dead, decomposing body under the mattress frame. 19. In 2013, vacationing families at LA's Cecil Hotel noticed black water coming out of the tap. A maintenance worker went to investigate the source and discovered the decomposing body of missing 21-year-old Canadian student Elisa Lam in the water tank. 18. The movie crew of The $6 Million Man found out via the accidentally breaking a limb off kind of way that a prop mummy was no prop at all. In fact, it was the handiwork of an embalmer who, so proud of his work, displayed the corpse in a funeral home, charging visitors a nickel to see it. 17. 3 Columbia University students looking to cheaply redecorate their place found an unwelcome surprise in their dumpster carpet after they got it home. Unrolling their new carpet, the boys found a dead body with 2 bullet wounds to the head. 16. Jean Hilliard was trying to find shelter after a car accident when she collapsed in the -8°F or -22°C temperatures. 6 hours later, when she was finally found and taken to the hospital, her heart was beating 8 times a minute, and she was only breathing 2 to 3 times per minute. She survived after being warmed back up by the hospital workers, and surprisingly, experienced no noticeable side effects. 15. In the only recorded case of infection by HIV-infected needle attack, inmate Graham Farlow of the Long Bay Jail in Sydney, Australia, stabbed guard Gary Pierce. Though Pierce only had a 1 in 200 chance of being infected, he indeed tested positive for HIV and died from its complications 7 years later. 14. A 17-year-old was hiding inside a garbage container when he felt it lift off the ground. He screamed once he realized what was happening, but by the time the garbage workers heard him, his body was already being crushed. 13. A terrifying urban legend relates to human traffickers extracting human fat and grease for use, and the director of Peru's Criminal Investigations Unit claims they broke up such a gang in 2009. Members of the gang were selling the extracted human fat to shamans and sorcerers who used it to make candles for satanic rituals. 12. A woman dying from cervical cancer was brought to the ER in Riverside, California. After sedating her and calming her heartbeat, a nurse pulled a blood sample. She noticed a strange smell and manila-colored particles in the sample, and a garlicky smell coming from the patient's mouth. Seconds later, she collapsed, followed by 2 fellow nurses. In total, 23 of 37 ER workers experienced symptoms from the body. 11. As Hitoshi Nakaido was entering an elevator, its doors shut around him and refused to open despite his frantically pressing every button. The elevator, with another hospital worker inside, ascended, taking Nakaido's body with it before severing his head. 10. In September 2012, a South Carolina woman found her ex-boyfriend living in her attic and watching her through the house's heating vents. After hearing noises above her bedroom and seeing nails pop out, she sent her adult children to investigate, which sent the man fleeing, leaving behind the cups he had been urinating and defecating in. 9. In 2005, a Delaware woman took her own life by hanging herself from a tree next to a busy public road. The next morning, scores of drivers passed by, amused by what they thought was a Halloween decoration just a few days before October 31st. 8. Marie Joseph went down a water slide with her neighbor's son. Upon landing in the pool, she began to sink. The boy reported it immediately, but the lifeguards ignored the claims, not even noticing the body at the bottom of the deep end for the next 2 full days as locals swam above. 7. Raymond Robinson was a normal boy who took on a friend's dare to climb a trolley bridge. Reaching the top, he accidentally touched a power line which sent 22,000 volts through his body, severely disfiguring his face. 6. In 2011, Polish woman Michalina Lewandowska awoke in an old TV box with her hands and feet duct taped after being tasered by her ex-fiancé. But she thought fast and used her sharp engagement ring to cut the tape before digging her way out through the earth piled above her. 5. 80-year-old Maria de Jesus Arroyo was presumed dead after a heart attack in 2011 and taken to the morgue. Funeral workers later came to pull her body from the frigid lockers to prepare her for the funeral. Rather than a normal dead body, they found an unzipped body bag and a corpse covered in bruises, evidence she awoke in the locker and tried to escape. 4. After a fire broke out in a freighter's cargo of lumber, the crew continuously doused the smoldering wood with water over the next 3.5 weeks to keep it from reigniting. What they didn't consider was the other cargo which could be affected. 1,500 tons of tapioca in the cargo hold slowly simmered and expanded so much it nearly burst the ship. 3. While acting at a Halloween experience, Caleb Rebb switched places with a skeleton hanging from a noose to scare hayride visitors. Though his feet were still on the ground after letting go of the rope, the line was pulled so taut that he soon suffocated as his fellow workers looked on in amusement at what they thought was acting. 2. Joseph Amazing Joe Burris, in going for the biggest stunt of his career, was locked up and buried in a transparent plastic coffin. Above him was 3 feet of dirt, followed by 4 feet of concrete, the weight of which came crashing down and killed him. 1. From 2000 to 2008, about 500 Indians were caught up in an illegal kidney transplant ring run by 4 doctors, 5 nurses, 20 paramedics, and 3 private hospitals. Many of the victims were day laborers, picked up on the streets with the promise of work. Enjoying our lists? Be sure to click that subscribe button in the top right corner so you don't miss out on new ones every Monday through Friday. Share them with your friends and help us consistently conciliate curiosity. And if you want even more lists, check out these 2 videos here, or just head to our website at list25.com.